Kia ora guys, welcome back to the Black Jersey. It's your boy Max, I'm the host of this channel. A big thank you to my patrons as per normal. If you're a new viewer, just a reminder to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you enjoy my content. How things can change on their heads within a matter of weeks. My goodness, man. Eddie Jones has been signed on a 5-year contract as the new head coach of the Wallabies until 2027, with Dave Rennie being sacked effective from 29th January. How good is this? A lot of the keyboard warriors are very sad, saying Dave Rennie was building towards something, but I'm sorry guys, he wasn't. He was not building towards a thing. Nothing was on the way with him. Dave Rennie will finish his term as the Wallabies' worst ever coach with a win percentage of less than 40%. The previous worst was Michael Cheika, who was on just 50%, so that's a huge gap between Rennie and the previous worst. Australia also had terrible discipline in Rennie's regime, having been shown 13 cards in the season of 2022, an absolute shocker for them. The Wallabies were also the most penalised team in the whole rugby championship, while they used very dirty tactics under Rennie's regime as well. Think back to the time wasting in the Bledisloe Cup, which yes, is a law. I have played against opponents penalised for the same thing. I just have not seen it in a test level before. Point is, this was a good decision to sack Dave Rennie. Despite what a lot of people wants to say about him, he is very overrated as a head coach. Under Dave Rennie, the Chiefs did win 2 Super Rugby titles back-to-back, but long-term, Rennie proved to be more of a poisonous figure than a positive figure for the team. Because Rennie was a very strict head coach, but not in favour of the players per se, the players kind of started to take their anger out on the field, very similarly to what we saw the Wallabies do under Rennie. Quite honestly, I've never seen an opposing team receive so much animosity from those they're facing. South Africa and the All Blacks, despite such a fierce rivalry, were more than happy to share beers and do jersey swaps after the Ellis Park match and after their 100th test together. You'll see the All Blacks share a beer with the Pumas, you'll see England and Scotland get together, France and South Africa get together for similar things. Generally, most teams in World Rugby are happy enough to go and meet their opponents after a test, but aside from Pete Samu catching up with his old Crusaders teammates, you simply just did not see that from Dave Rennie's Wallabies. I cannot recall an occasion in which an All Black did a jersey swap with a Wallaby in the Rennie era. Rennie also won just 4 tests in 2022, including the team's first ever loss to Italy. So this was a well-deserved sacking in my books. Not only that, he couldn't even pick who his first choice fullback was going to be. It was foreshadowed that this was happen back when he failed to win a trophy with Glasgow in Scotland. He is a highly overrated coach, and though Graham Henry says to my mother when they met that Graham Henry would have preferred Dave Rennie as the All Blacks coach, I just don't believe Rennie would have had the same success with the All Blacks either. We get over to the other side of Rennie's coaching, the off-field element. Just 25 players were available for the Wallabies' final test of 2022 due to a massive injury crisis that received a review from Rennie in Rugby Australia. Scott Wisemantel, the attack coach, also left the Wallabies setup in early this year, so maybe that was a foreshadowing of things not being all too well within the camp. Dave Rennie also ruled out working with Eddie Jones a few days ago. This is according to the Raw, I've got it over here. The headline is "Won't Happen. Rennie's blunt reaction to working with Eddie addresses future, Wisemantel exit and review." Could that be Jones? No. according to Rennie. The fourth-year Wallabies coach says that he didn't expect Jones, who was anticipating having his future ironed out by the end of the month, to join Rugby Australia ahead of the World Cup, including as a director of rugby. It won't happen before the World Cup, Rennie said. Look, there's a fair bit of speculation about other things, but my focus is with this group and on the World Cup, and I guess anything else happening beyond that will be clarified over the next few months. Rennie also named a Wallabies training camp on 5th January. Bro, it's the middle of the freaking off season. I literally work in retail for my day job right now, and I barely have any conversations with my customers about the rugby, despite the fact that yes, I live in New Zealand. People are not fussed about rugby at all in the Southern Hemisphere right now, but yet here's Dave Rennie taking the boys away from their family holidays for a camp. It's just not how it should be, and quite frankly, once again, it's another piece of evidence that his sacking was correct. Now, however, we change our tune to the positive news. Eddie Jones is back. He was the last Wallabies coach to win a Bledisloe Cup, having known what it's like to beat the All Blacks with England. He knows a lot of things. England, in theory, could also possibly play against the Wallabies in 2023's World Cup quarterfinals, so should the Wallabies and England face up against each other, Eddie Jones will know absolutely everything about that squad, and he will also know the ideas and styles of Steve Borthwick, who is now the England head coach. This will play very well into the Wallabies' hands. Eddie Jones will also likely highly identify personally with a lot of the players, and he'll be able to connect to them really well one-on-one. Eddie Jones is the son of an Aussie man and a Japanese-American woman, whereas a lot of the Wallabies right now are from Pacific Islands descent, so they are, generally speaking, when we come down to the ethnicity, racial minorities in Australia, as Jones is on that same level, that will perhaps make a bit more of a connection, as, you know, the world still has a way to go when it comes to accepting other ethnicities as insiders in certain countries after immigration happens and things like that. I'm sure you get the point I'm making, that people need to be more inclusive of racial minorities and stuff like that. Eddie Jones as well has a blueprint as to how to figure out France's kicking game, as it was his England side who was able to get France to play to their moves during the 2022 Six Nations, though England did lose the match. While Eddie Jones is a very harsh coach who's very fiery, he does it out of a sense of purpose, and he does it out of a sense of a good heart to get the players in their best possible mindset. Eddie Jones has had a few interviews where he discusses, mental health and things like that. He even went as far as hiring a professional sports psychologist to help his England ahead of 2019, when he refers to their inability to close out games as absolutely it's a mental thing. Eddie Jones also knows a few other things about how to defeat the Northern Hemisphere nations such as the Irish and the Scottish and the Welsh, especially with Warren Gatland back in charge. Those two coaches have played against each other many a time. Eddie Jones, look for him to strip Australia back down to their DNA, and they do have a lot of talent with ball in hand, but they've completely lacked any kind of forward-thinking structure. Australia, much like New Zealand, has been a victim of a bit of homogenous coaching, and though they have the talent with the ball in hand, they just need a coach who's going to come in and do his research on the opposition, which a lot of people don't do. Another thing I want to say as well is hopefully Eddie Jones keeps Dan McKellar on board so that he can take over from 2028 and onwards, as I do believe that he is a future Wallabies coach. No doubt, man. The Wallabies just need that kind of coach who is going to push them to play more of a structured style of rugby while also embracing their abilities out wide. Look for the likes for Suliasi Vunivalu, Jordan Pitaya, Noah Lolosio, and Tate McDermott to flourish under Eddie Jones, with Rob Valentini getting the assured number 8 jersey with Harry Wilson out of the picture, passengers like James O'Connor Connor going away, the front row continuing with Alan Alatoa, Dave Parecki, James Slipper, Taniela Tupou, and Scott Seo in the mix. And of course, look for Eddie Jones to finally show faith in the next generation of locks, because goodness me, do Australia need a bit of that. With all of these positive things that are in our mind, and all of Eddie Jones' experience plus his ability to identify with the Australian team rather from a cultural perspective, I believe that Eddie could go on to win the World Cup with Australia. As soon as the international test season starts, I will be analysing every single game they play and every single tactics they bring out. And of course, one last thing, I have to cancel my upcoming video called What is Going On with the Wallabies. In 1 week time, I was going to record a video all about that, but never mind, I'm just going to have to throw it in the bin. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. The RFU are really going to not be happy about this one, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much, team. I'll see you next time. Cheers from Max.